Hey everyone, welcome to the Intramural Indoor Futsal Captains video for the fall semester 2013. My name is Tommy Shore. I'm the Director of Intramural Sports here at the University of Iowa. We're going to make this quick video for you to learn some rules and regulations of our program, as well as some rules and regulations as we enter the indoor futsal season that you need to know as team captains, rules of the game, rules of our program, things like that. So first thing we want to talk to you about is the eCheckup to Go program. We have partnered with some people across campus to start this initiative, and basically what it is the eCheckup to Go assessment is an online confidential alcohol assessment, talking about your alcohol use, things like that. Again, it's confidential. There is an incentive to doing this. Teams in intramural sports, in any team sport that have 75% of their final rosters complete this assessment will receive a refund of their team entry fee. So you pay your registration fee online via Iron Links, like we'll talk about later, and then if you have 75% of your team's final roster take that assessment, you will get refunded your registration fee. So details about that program, that incentive, are available on the Intramural League's or IM League's website, as well as the Intramural Sports website through Rec Services. Now I want to introduce you to some of our intramural sports staff. These are Matt McCarthy and Drew Dunley, our intramural graduate assistants for this year. You'll be seeing a lot of them and hearing from them a lot in different sports you participate in. And our intramural supervisors, there's 9 of them. These are student supervisors that work with our program. You'll see them when you're out participating at different events, things like that. Anybody in one of these polos, yellow name tag, you'll see them, you'll recognize them out there. If you have any questions about intramural sports or anything our program is doing, go ahead and ask them. If they don't know the answer, they will find out for you and get back to you. So, you're pretty familiar with our imleagues.com website by now, at least a little bit familiar. You made it this far. At this website, we have team registrations. Once we get going, we'll have league announcements. You can add players to your roster at this website. You can check your schedules once we get those published, once registration has closed. You can get sport information and rule sheets, things like that, for any sport we have in the intramurals. Once we get those ready to go with updates for that year, we'll get them out on that website. You just go to that sport homepage, hover over the icon on the left that says info, and you can click on the handbooks manuals link and get that info for each sport in our program. And once we get going and into playoffs, you can find updated standings and brackets throughout the season. So some responsibilities for you as team captain. We need you to make sure your teammates are eligible. We'll talk about different eligibility requirements in a minute, but we also need you to make sure that your teammates know the sport rules and regulations as well as the program rules and regulations. If someone violates our rules, it's not an excuse that they didn't know. They need to know that they can't wear jewelry and other things we're talking about in this video. So make sure you're passing that along to them so that we don't have issues out at the game site. And if we needed to contact your team for any reason, administratively, you will be our contact that we use in the office. Your team roster, once you get registered, your team created, passed the quiz, all that stuff, you'll generate your team roster. And to make additions to that roster, those additions must be made by 2 p.m. the day of your game. So all of our futsal games are on Monday, so 2 p.m. that day is the deadline to get players added to your roster to be able to play that night. And that process continues until 2 p.m. the day of the quarterfinal round of playoffs. That is when you can no longer add new folks to your roster for the remainder of the season. So check your imleagues.com roster frequently to make sure players are eligible. Like we talked about, make sure your current roster doesn't have any ineligible participants or things have changed. There are situations where people's status with the university has changed, and that changes their intramural eligibility, may make them ineligible, things like that. We want to make sure we've got all that straightened away before you see it and find out about it on the score sheet at the game site. If you need to drop a player from your roster, you can fill out a player drop request form. Those are available online and outside of the Intramural Sports office down on the main deck of the field house. Submit those to the player drop box located outside our offices in E216 Fieldhouse, or scan those and send them to us via email, and we'll get those players, if they're eligible to be dropped, we'll get them dropped from your rosters. So who's eligible to play? We're talking about making sure your players are eligible. The players, or the people that are eligible to play intramural sports, are University of Iowa students, faculty, and staff, spouses and legally married partners of originally eligible participants are eligible to play on the same teams as their eligible spouse. So my wife can play on my indoor futsal team, my co-rec team, but she cannot play on a women's team because she has to play on my team because I'm originally eligible and she's not, because she's not a university student, faculty, or staff member. And a player may only represent one team in the men's division and one team in the co-rec division, or one team in the women's division, one team in the co-rec division. You cannot play on two co-rec or two single-gendered teams. So once a player has entered a team illegally on a second team, so signed in with the intent to play, that player is ruled ineligible for the remainder of that season on all teams. And any teams found using ineligible players will forfeit any games in which those players are used. So it's important as team captain you make sure all of your participants are eligible. In regards to eligibility with intercollegiate and club athletes, University of Iowa soccer players are not permitted to play intramural indoor futsal. So intercollegiate athletes cannot participate on an intramural team in that related sport. And club soccer players, you can only have 2 club soccer players or coaches, any combination of 2, on your roster to be able to play. If you have more than 2, then we've got problems, we've got violations, and we'll have to deal with that accordingly. But that magic number is 2 for sport club, 0 for intercollegiate. When you get to the game site, your scheduled game, you got your roster set, all that good stuff. All players must present a University of Iowa ID to check in and play in that game. You'll check in with the supervisor that's outside the walls of the MAC gym at the CRWC, and they'll get you signed in. They'll check your ID, make sure it's yours, and they'll check and get you signed in and ready to play that game. If you aren't on the roster, you can't play. If you don't bring your ID, you also can't play. So you must have a University of Iowa ID. You have to get it. You have to use it to get into the CRWC, and you have to have it to play intramural sports. So remind all your players that this is a requirement of participating in a game that night to bring their university IDs. If someone is caught misusing an ID, so if I use Matt's ID, I'm not Matt, and that's a problem. So any person caught misusing an ID is subject to suspension from intramural sports, and incidents will also be reported to the Dean of Students' office as well. We catch it all the time, so don't think that you're going to get away with it if you do it, and there are severe punishments in that regard. Participant conduct, we're all about sportsmanship in intramural sports. So any fighting or anything like that, anybody who participates in a fight will be suspended from all recreational services activities, not just intramural sports, but fitness classes, use of the CRWC, the field house, things like that, be suspended for 1 calendar year, for at least 1 calendar year, and those incidents will also be passed along to the Dean of Students' office for further disciplinary action. Again, with sportsmanship and acting like adults out there, any player who is ejected from a game will be required to meet with myself and one of the GAs, part of the intramural administrative staff, to discuss the incident, things like that. The team captain will also have to join that meeting. We take this very seriously, so if you're ejected for fighting or being a bad sport, yelling at the officials, things like that, you will have to have a meeting with us. And we'll talk about the situation. The team captain may or may not be unsuspended at that point, but the ejected participant will be suspended at least 1 additional game after the point of the ejection meeting. So once you have that meeting, the ejected participant sits out at least 1 more game. A lot of times it's more than 1 more game. New this year, we've had a sportsmanship rating in the past, but we've modified it a little bit this year. And so this year, 4 is good, 1 is bad. We match the grade point average system. We call it a sportsmanship point average, SPA. That SPA must be 2.5 or better to qualify for the playoffs, and you must maintain that throughout the playoffs to continue in the bracket, regardless of whether or not you win or lose. If you get a 2 or a 1 sportsmanship rating, you will be notified by our office. 2, you'll get an email, and if you get a 1, you will have to have, as team captain, you will have to come in and have a sportsmanship meeting with me, and we'll talk about why your team can't act like adults. Our games are officiated by intramural officials. They are students just like you, or faculty staff members just like you, so make sure you're treating them with respect. They are your peers. Some of them may be certified higher than the intramural sports level with different soccer organizations. Some of them, this is the first time they've officiated anything, or it's the first time they've officiated futsal or what have you. So they're all trained by our intramural sports staff. They are your peers. We expect you to treat them with respect. They will treat you with respect. You will treat them with respect, and we'll have a good time out there. If that doesn't happen, then we will have problems, and we'll have to deal with them. We schedule games for those games to be played, so we don't like having forfeits. If you are not ready to play within 5 minutes of the scheduled start time for indoor futsal for your game, it will be declared a forfeit. If you forfeit, you will be fined half of the registration fee charged to you as the team captain on your U-bill, and that is $25. If you have regularly scheduled games remaining, you will have a chance to earn a refund of that forfeit fine. If we contact you, you say you want to stay in the league, and you have remaining games, you show up for all those games, we will refund that forfeit fine. If it's your last regular season game and you don't make the playoffs, or if it's your last playoff game, you will not have an opportunity to get that money back. If you want to avoid a forfeit, you know a bunch of people are going to be gone, they all have tests that night, something random is going on, you can tell our office that you will not be there. That's called a default. This must be done by 2 p.m. the day of your game, the same as that roster addition deadline, and you can see the information down there to email Matthew McCarthy at uiowa.edu, or call the phone number listed there to let us know of a default. The first time you do it, thanks for letting us know. No charge, we appreciate it, we can make plans accordingly. The second time you do it, now we've got a problem. We schedule these games because we want them to happen. The other teams want to have their games, they're ready to play, they want to make those happen. So if you default the second time, you will be fined 25% of your registration fee. If you do it a third time, now we've got a real problem. You will be fined an additional 50% of your registration fee on top of the 25% already fined, with no opportunity to get that back. So point with all this is we want games to happen. We schedule them, we go to the work to get things in place for you to have those games. We want you to be showing up for those games. If something happens during your game that you have a misinterpretation or misapplication of a rule, should be a direct kick, instead the officials gave you an indirect kick, something like that, you can protest. To do this, you must call a timeout at the time of the situation. So you must call a timeout immediately, tell the officials you want to protest. The intramural supervisor will come over, listen to the situation, make a ruling. If you still feel that ruling is incorrect, you can submit $5 in a protest form to the Intramural Sports office by noon the day after, the business day after your game, so that'll be the Tuesday after your game. You can submit that. I will read through the protest, make a ruling on the situation. If you were right and that protest is upheld, then we will refund your money. We'll go back and play the rest of the game from the point of the protest on. If our staff was right at the game site, you will lose that $5 and the game will stand as it originally finished. T-shirt policy this year is new in futsal. Last year we just asked you to bring a light color and a dark color. This year in futsal we're going to have you choose a team t-shirt color at the time of registration. So everybody on your team, with the exception of the goalkeeper, must be wearing this team t-shirt color to be allowed to play. Again, you will select that during registration, and if someone shows up not wearing that color, or your whole team does, that is not good, and you will be not be allowed to play wearing the wrong color. So once we get registration taken care of and all our loose ends tied up, team schedules will be posted on imleagues.com by Wednesday, October 9th, which is right after the registration deadline on the 7th, and games will begin on Monday, October 14th, so you got a few days to get settled there. League standings, once we get going, will be posted outside our office in the E216 Fieldhouse, and as I talked about before, they will also be posted on imleagues.com once the season gets going, and the top 2 teams from every 3-team division will qualify for the playoffs, assuming that those teams have a sportsmanship point average, an SPA of 2.5 or better. And the games will be played, as I mentioned before, at the CRWC, Campus Recreation and Wellness Center on Burlington and Madison, in the MAC gym on the 2nd floor. So bring your IDs to get into that facility and be ready to go. So now Intramural Sports Graduate Assistant Matt McCarthy is going to take over for me and get you through the rest of the video.
Like Tommy said, my name is Matt McCarthy. I'm a graduate assistant with Intramural Sports here at Iowa, so I'm just going to take you through some game rules and get you acquainted with the sport. So we're going to have 2 12-minute halves with a running clock, which means that we will not have stoppage time for injuries. We will have a 3-minute halftime, so we want to get you guys in, play your first half, and then get you back in the court as soon as possible to play the second half. The clock's going to stop on all fouls, violations, and any other dead balls in the last minute of each half. So for the first 11 minutes, we have a running clock. The last minute, we have a stop clock. The mercy rule is if a team is ahead by 8 points with 2 minutes or less left remaining in the second half, the game will be called, and you will play the game with 5 players at one time, and one of those players will be designated as the goalkeeper. Really big this year. Our officials are going to harp on it. Supervisors are going to harp on it. No jewelry is allowed. Nothing. No wristbands like this. No concert wristbands from 4 years ago from your favorite band. No jewelry. No earrings. You cannot put Band-Aids. You cannot tape over bracelets. No jewelry unless it is a medical alert bracelet. That's the only thing that we allow. So teams winning the coin toss. If your team wins the coin toss, you will select which side you would like to defend. The team losing the coin toss will then kick off the first half. If you've won the kickoff, you will kick off second half. All substitutions must be made through the substitution gate. This gate will be closed and locked by the supervisor or the extra official there. So if you would like to come in, you must signal. You must tell the official that we have there on the door that you would like to sub. They will then signal the goalie. The goalie is the only person on the field or on the court that can signal that can call a substitution timeout. Once your goalie has possession of the ball in their hands, they can tell the official on the court that they would like to sub. The official will call it a substitution timeout, and the subs will switch in and out. This needs to be done quickly because we do not stop the clock for substitutions. So make sure if you are coming on or off the court that you're doing it quick. And you're not wasting any time. The ball is out of bounds only when the ball has hit any part of the ceiling or lights or hoop. Okay, so the walls are in bounds, and part of the ceiling is in bounds. The ball is also out of bounds if it goes over the plexiglass or lands up on the track. If a ball goes out of bounds, whoever kicked it or touched it last before it left the playing surface, the other team will get an indirect free kick from the spot closest to the ball going out of bounds. A goal kick, we do allow goal kicks and clearances from the goalkeeper to advance the ball to their team. However, you cannot throw the ball as a goalie past the midline. So I can't throw a ball to a teammate over the line. It must be touched before it makes it past midfield by one of my teammates or the opposing team. I can, however, kick it ahead over the midline. The keeper cannot possess the ball for more than 5 seconds, so we don't want any time wasting. That will be a yellow card if that happens. So make sure that if you are a goalkeeper, or make sure you tell your goalkeepers once they have the ball in their possession, they need to get rid of it within 5 seconds. Fouls and misconduct resulting in a direct free kick. Some of these are examples, but they're not limited to kicking, tripping, and striking an opponent, pushing, holding, and charging an opponent, a handball, and slide tackling an opponent. So make sure you're not doing those things, as well as these fouls and misconducts that result in an indirect free kick, which is going to be playing in a dangerous manner. So this is if an official has warned you that you're a little bit out of control and you don't bring that back down, even if it's not, what you're doing is not in itself illegal. If you're doing it dangerously, that would be an indirect free kick. Intentional obstruction of an opponent, charging a goalkeeper out of the penalty area. So if a goalkeeper's out, charging into him. Goalkeeper violation, so handballs outside of the goal box, and as well as goalkeepers handling the ball after a pass and stuff like that, and then illegal substitutions, which we shouldn't have because we have an official on the door, but make sure you are waiting for the official to open that door. So to receive a yellow card, again, these are examples but not limited to substitution violations, persistent infringement of rules, arguing the decisions of the officials, behaving in an unsportsmanlike manner, and time-wasting tactics. So make sure you guys aren't doing any of those, as well as a red card, so an ejection. And this is what Simon was talking about, where you have to come in and meet with the staff. These, again, are examples but not limited to a series of foul play, or serious foul play, violent conduct or fighting, which we talked about earlier, abusive language, or a second yellow card offense. Those are all ejectable offenses, among other things deemed by the officials. So make sure you're not doing that. Upon an ejection, the offended team will get a free kick. as well as the offending team. So the team who has a player ejected will have to play down the rest of the match. So you'll have to play with 4, including the goalie, so only 3 field players. And then any team who has more than 1 player ejected will default the rest of that match. We will not finish the game. It'll be marked as a default. If a game needs to go to overtime, we will have a 5-minute overtime period, a golden goal period. So the first team to score during that 5-minute time wins. We don't play the full 5 minutes and see what the score is at the end. If the game remains tied after that 5-minute golden goal period, we will go to penalty shootouts. Each team will have 5 players kick in the penalty shootout, and we'll alternate order. So we'll have another captain's meeting with rock, paper, scissors to decide order of that. If a game is still tied after 5, so let's say all 5 players make it, then we'll go to a 1-1 until we have the end of a round where someone is ahead, and that team will be declared the winner. We have an officials training on Thursday, October 3rd at 7 p.m. at the CRWC conference room on the 2nd floor. So if you're interested in working as well as playing, you're more than welcome to work and play. So you come to that meeting and see what we're all about and get trained up so that you can work as well as play. Additionally, we're keeping it going from last year, Buffalo Wild Wings Intramural Sports Championship. So if you keep your same team name throughout the year in the division that you play, you'll accumulate points towards your Intramural Sports Points Championship. So if you keep the same team name, no matter where you finish, first or last, you get points towards this championship. And at the end of the year, a winner will be crowned in men's, women's, fraternity, sorority, and co-rec. The champions will get a trophy, a $100 gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings, and t-shirts. So it's a pretty cool deal. If you need more players for your team, you can attend our free agent meeting on Monday, October 7th at 2 p.m. in room 201 Fieldhouse. Here we'll have an opportunity for free agents, so people that want to play but don't have a team, they can come to this meeting as well as you to fill out your roster. So make sure if you don't have enough players on your team, you're doing that. And then another thing that we're doing, continuing from last year, is a Friday night series. So you can see our sports here that we offer. So once a month on a Friday night, we have free events. These do count towards your Buffalo Wild Wings points, so it's a good way to get free points. And it's just a fun time with a little bit less emphasis on competition than our normal sports. So now that you've watched the captain's video, your remaining registration requirements are to pass the quiz, meet the minimum requirements so you can send out invitations to team members. They can also request to be on your team if they know the team name. Once you have the required amount to play, then you can pay the registration fee and then select your division, t-shirt color, and then all this must be done by 11:59 on Monday, October 7th. That is when registration closes, and if you do not have it done by then, you may be left out of the league. If you have any questions, give us a call at 319-335-9292 or email us at intramural-sports@uiowa.edu. And with that, good luck this season.